Zach LaVine is one of the smoothest scorers we've ever seen. I'm more sure of this, one, every time I watch him play, and two, every time I think about the growth of him in the league.
Step back three, Sacramento.
Throwback to UCLA, he started as that freak athlete.
Oh my goodness.
Then he got to Minnesota, he was raw, he was exciting, and he turned into that dunk champ. Go to Chicago, become an all-star, stay there for 8 seasons. Now, you're in Sacramento, and you're one of the most polished scorers in the league. I just think he's underrated at this point. He's one of the smoothest offensive scorers we've seen. His athleticism is off the charts, and he just has a different flow out there. So is he underrated? I think so. Look, the season is underway. It's here. We're 6 games in for, well, Sacramento at least. That's what I'm looking at. And the Sacramento Kings, look, they're only 2-4. But I'm giving love to Zach LaVine in this episode because he's one of those guys that, like, there's so many of these guys in the league, right? Yet you just get so used to them doing their thing that you take them for granted. It's the whole greatness debate. Anyone, any league around the world, any sport around the world, if you do your thing for long enough, you're going to be almost less appreciated unless... There's certain outliers and there's certainly moments where they remind you, effectively, how good they are. But I just want to, like, people like Zach LaVine, like, he's not probably going to have the team success this year, but I want him to have all the individual success in the world. As I mentioned, 2-4. Not great by the Kings, but this man is averaging basically 30 points per game on 50-40-90 splits, which is awesome. 50-40-90 is kind of like the gold aim. I always view it as like that's what you want. And if you hit any of those points, that's like great. You're doing great. So that's kind of how I look at it in my mind. But he's averaging 29.5 points per game on 53% shooting, 40% from 3, and 94% from the free throw line. And it just made me wonder, like, is he one of the smoothest scorers we've ever seen? Like, literally ever. And I know that might sound like, hey, like, do you know how long this league's been going on? Do you know how many great scorers we've had? But think about who he is as an athlete and now as a scorer and where he came from in terms of, like, I'm going to touch on his journey after this, but that smooth athlete at a UCLA, known to be a dunk contest, like winner, dunker, athlete, but now he's just a flat out scorer. And think of it like that. It's certainly the flow to his game that really... Every time I watch him, I'm just like, not many people move like he does out there. And, like, it's just like, even his shooting form. Do you know some of those guys that you're like, you watch workout maybe, or you watch vision of him just shooting in his highlights, his threes. He's one of those guys that you will pay attention to longer during those videos, and you won't just skip to the next video or quit right while you're at it. You're happy to watch someone like him score the rock. It's just smooth. There's something about it that looks different. To me at least. Now, look at his journey. This is where it's impressive if you actually, think about where he came from. So, UCLA, young, like 18-year-old, 17 even, I don't know, like he seemed young. It looks really funny going back and watching him in UCLA or even Minnesota rookie highlights, as I was doing just before. Like, just a baby-faced athlete. Nobody really knew what he could become, but he was one of those classic picks, like 13th overall to Minnesota. You saw it. Like, you saw the athleticism, and then the athleticism was that good that it got your attention. You're like, hey, if it pans out the way anyone might predict it could, like, that's a keyword being could, he could become a star. He could become something really special. Or if it doesn't pan out that exact way, he could become, just like a highlight reel. I know that sounds bad, but it's sort of just like a highlight reel, not like a polished scorer, not someone who's going to do more than get a few dunks and drop a few threes here and there. But that's what he was. Then dunk contest, like the dunk contest fanatics in 2016 with Aaron Gordon. I think he won back-to-back and didn't defend it at the third time. Might have got that wrong, but he was certainly all the talk around that time. And I feel like that's in a way where he kind of came onto the scene, right? Like, if you didn't know who Zach LaVine was, you probably knew who he was if you watched that dunk contest. And even if you didn't, that was a time where people actually was like really getting around the dunk contest, because now it's a bit of like it's almost like sad how it is now. Like, people don't really care that much about it. All the words about it is probably negative, unless it's like media sort of trying to hype it up, trying to be like, hey, can we save the dunk contest? But back then, there were some good times to watch the dunk contest. That was actually exciting. last quick tangent here, but last year, maybe last season was the first time All-Star Weekend kind of went by, and I was kind of fine to miss most of it. Dunk contest was one I kind of wanted to tune in, ironically, but the rest of it, I was kind of just like, I don't know, it's lost its buzz. I'll of course watch the highlights. I'll like when they get on a roll in the 3-point contest, it's pretty damn cool. Like it's actually pretty cool to just watch it. And I was just talking about guys that you could watch over and over again shoot the rock. If he was in a 3-point contest, I'd probably be pretty drawn to that, because some guys you just like watch their form over and over again. They shoot exactly the same. Is why they're the elite of the elite. And then just watching it on repeat, you're like, how do they get it every single time? And how does fatigue not play a part? But he was the dunk contest craze back then. Then he was averaging 19 a game, which I didn't realize. He jumped to that pretty quick. Maybe like that was his third year in the league, third year in Minnesota. And then he tore his ACL, which, if I got this correct, he pretty much tore his ACL in mini, and they traded him to Chicago the next season. Like, when I was looking at his career stats, it didn't look like he played a game for Minnesota after he tore his ACL. I'm not sure if that's correct. But regardless, fresh start in Chicago. Spent 8 seasons there, which, by the way, that completely caught me off guard. If you, like, someone said it on the broadcast when I was watching Zach LaVine highlights before, 12th year in the league, which obviously means you came in at 18 if he's 30 now. But I did not realize he spent 8 seasons in Chicago. But that's kind of where he became an all-star. He became a star in this league. If you're an all-star, I'm going to call you a star of sorts. I was thinking to myself how, I don't know, how sensitive some people are about the word star. They're going to be like, Zach LaVine is not a star. But he was an all-star. And he's one of the best scorers that we have right now, clearly. So he's a star in my eyes. Averaged around like 23 to 27 the entire time in Chicago. So he was like their main man. He was the guy there. And I actually, do yourself a favor. Sometimes the teams release really cool videos when players leave after a certain amount of time. Go watch the one Chicago just released. It was just like, thank you, Zach LaVine. Pretty cool to see what he came in like. He was like, he seemed like stoked to be around the organization. There's a few shots of him. You know, it's not even about the on-court stuff. Yes, there is. You get all the highlights mixed in with the Bulls commentary, who they always make things exciting. Probably one of the top ones in the league, but those videos are cool. But you fast forward to now, second season in Sacramento, 30 years old. So is that the prime? That's still in his prime. That could be like right in the prime. Even though I like my stars like a bit younger, like if they're 27, 28, 26 even, like that's good time to, you know, lock up a star. But even from 27 to 33, you could call it prime. And I used to always judge athletes a lot by their age, but he's not slowing down, clearly. Like, if anything, well, actually, 6 games in, so don't care too much about this, but this is the most points per game he's averaged ever. So make of that what you will. Will he continue it? Oh, I'd love it. That'd be cool if he did. But it's really the growth. As I mentioned, like, it's just, he was from that freak athlete coming out of college where, I mean, he's a classic case of the P word, potential. What could he become? Do we invest our time in this guy? What is he going to do if we invest that time to him? And then it's just a credit to how much he worked on his craft and how much he worked to become that polished offensive threat that he is. Like, he expanded his game so much more than just a dunker, and so much more than just that dunk contest participant that people are like, this guy's awesome. Like, he can clearly dunk the rock, dunk the ball, whatever. But what else can he do in real game situation? Now we see exactly what he can do, and it's cool to see that progression. And actually, what got me onto this was I do some video editing for Jordan Lawley, NBA trainer. If you're around the NBA circles, you probably know who he is. He works out some of the top NBA players, and one of them was, of course, Zach LaVine. I was staring at this video, and sometimes, look, I'm a massive basketball fan, but I'm not going to watch, 30 minutes of someone working out for the most part, like just raw. Some of it's really cool insight, so do actually watch them, especially if you're interested in that. Especially the coaching bits, where Jordan's kind of like, just going up to him, talking to, like, these guys are NBA players, so look, they know what they're doing. But sometimes it's very interesting to see how Jordan talks to them and how, I don't know, what they actually need to be told or do want to be told in those moments. They're really cool. Plus, you get to see the player's personality. There was another one, it'll be up soon with Dyson Daniels. A lot sort of funnier and a lot more personality, I think, than he's a bit of a smart ass. I like it. A lot more personality than you probably think he would be, just what he presents in the media and what people think he is. If it seems like a very sort of up, straight and down kind of guy. But no, he's funny. He's good. So go watch those videos. But anyway, my point there was when I was watching the Zach LaVine one, I was like, he's just such a smooth scorer. Like, another fascinating part of that part was Jordan kind of like gets him to make 4 makes in a row or 5 makes in a row or go until you make whatever, 10. But with Zach and with a few others, it's not even just about the makes. It's about, okay, you are going to make the shot, but it's like left side of the rim, right side of the rim. So pretty much what that means is, like, from my knowledge, it's literally just like you have to make the shot, but make sure it hits the left sort of part of it. The left side of the rim, the left metal bit. And I'm just like, damn, isn't it just a bucket like of any sort good enough? Sometimes it's like swish, sometimes it's like back rim. It's fascinating what NBA athletes can do and what the trainers like Jordan Lawley put them through if you're an elite shooter. And even not, you're probably not going to call Dyson Daniels an elite shooter yet. No offense, but he was doing a similar thing with him. Like, all right, we want swishes. We want swishes only. Doesn't matter if it goes in any other way. Jordan's like, no, doesn't count it. Like, hold them to a really high standard. And Zach LaVine did that. So I was just watching him and kind of not in awe of how he moves, but in a way, like, super smooth guy in terms of his game and just like his jump shot and everything to do with it. That's one that I might watch the 30 minutes full of raw vision, just because he's fascinating to watch. So I think, to sum it up, the best way I can describe Zach LaVine is one of the most aesthetically pleasing scorers we have, or we've ever had in the NBA, honestly. Like, I don't know how many guys I look at, and the way, even though the way he rises up and the way he gathers on his dunks, like, he just like flows. It's a gliding motion. It's not even like it's not like a jump that looks like it's a lot of effort. Effortless athlete. And it just makes me want to watch more of him, honestly. Like, Zach LaVine is a guy that I was like, I vividly remember seeing UCLA highlights all those years back. And I was like, who is this guy? In that bright blue UCLA kit. The potential word, like I said before, that gets me as a fan excited. And I was like, what can this guy become? He gets to mini, you pay attention a bit. Once again, once someone's in the league for a bit, your mind sort of goes to other players. Your mind sort of like, wanders. You want to see the best of the league in terms of different angles. So you're not going to always follow one player. But Zach is kind of like one I wish I watched more of in the Chicago years and even last year in Sacramento. But I'm going to make sure I watch more of him this year, because I think if he keeps this up, look, 29.5 points per game or 50, 40, 90 splits is a tough ask. But it would be awesome to see him even get close to that, for him to average it for the first half of the year. And maybe even get another All-Star nod. One of those guys that you're like, how many All-Star appearances has he actually made? The answer is 2. So let's see if he makes it a 3rd this year.
I would never put him on me ever again. Still to be happy about. You're too old. Job's not finished.
Why can't I be the MVP of the league?
I feel confident because I'm the best player in the world. It's simple.